We are problem solvers, providing the highest quality service and results. We are a team of skilled professionals focused on customer needs and outcomes. We are 23 years of industry experience, adhering to the highest safety standards. We are Melbourne, and we are right across Victoria. We are the Lanco Group, your business partner for engineering solutions. Lanco Group. We are more than you realise, and we are ready to partner with you.
Buying your electricity from the big energy companies is now the most expensive way to power your home. In fact, the average electricity bill in Australia has more than doubled in the last 15 years, but not for the ones who went solar. Unlike your electricity bill, the price of solar has actually come down, and there's also government rebates available. So what are you waiting for? Join the 2 million households already saving hundreds of dollars every year. See how much your roof could be making you at solarpowerco.com.au. Go solar and get $500 cash back with the Solar Power Co, Australia's most trusted solar brand. solarpowerco.com.au.
Are you looking to change your destiny in life? Be your own boss? Start your own business? If you are, you need people who understand your needs and are committed to helping you make it happen. At DKP & Co Chartered Accountants, we are more than just accountants. We are business advisors, taxation consultants, and strategists that specialise in setting up businesses. We understand the client and give them the very best customised advice and strategies to achieve their goals. Visit our website, dkpco.com.au, or give us a call today on 03 9023 9370. Fast, proactive, personal. That's DKP & Co Chartered Accountants.
Has almost returned to normal after that ridiculous Olympics quarter final. Matildas going all the way to extra time, 4-3 thriller, and now we've got to prepare ourselves to do it all over again as the Matildas take on Sweden tonight. If they win, they've got an Olympic medal. Josh Parrish and Bakua Frimpong with you in studio today. We're going to be talking to new Western United striker Noah Botic, who's had a really interesting career so far at his tender age. And he's coming back to Australia, so really excited to see him play in the A-League. Later on in the night, we're going to be chatting to Teo Pellizzeri in more depth about the Matildas, real women's football expert who's been following these players for many, many years. But Bakua, you were riding every kick of the ball, every header. You seem to be having some sort of breakdown during the match based on the group chat.
Honestly, I lost my voice a little bit due to it. But it was such a surreal feeling to see that team just be like, just get their chance and take that opportunity, because there are these other teams in the world, they have better infrastructure and they're a little bit more talented, but the work ethic of this Matildas squad and the never say die attitude is something I'm extremely proud of, and they deserve this result because Great Britain didn't play well enough to comfortably say they should have won that game.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was an element of fortune involved. I haven't been that positive about the Matildas this campaign, but they seem to have some sort of mental edge over their opponents that's carrying through into these real do-or-die clashes. They haven't exactly been firing all cylinders. Not everything has been lined up perfectly. They don't look polished by any means, but especially Sam Kerr and a lot of these players just have this kind of clutch gene.
Yeah, I think that this something that a lot of people are forgetting is that the Matildas almost didn't play together didn't play together for over a year. They only, I think their first game might have been, I don't know, it might have been like Netherlands or something, but I may be mistaken, but they got thumped, actually destroyed, and the fact they've made it out of this group, which could have two teams, get the gold and silver, is, I think, it'll give them a lot of confidence to be like, you know what? It doesn't really matter what happens at the end. We've given our all. We've made it out of that group, and we could potentially sneak our way into a medal position.
Has Tony Gustafsson been vindicated at all, do you think, for some of his selection decisions? Certainly the goalkeeper seems to have been an inspired choice. It takes a brave coach to leave Lydia Williams on the bench.
And I, as an Arsenal fan, I was a bit nervous by it. Tegan Micah is a fantastic goalkeeper and has shown, especially with City this season, that she's one for the future and even might be one for right now. But Lydia Williams is such a decorated Australian Matildas goalkeeper and has done a tremendous job. I just think that because she maybe hasn't had that much regular football and being the second choice for the Arsenal women's squad, she's kind of maybe slipped a little bit, and it's given Tegan Micah the opportunity to be her best, and you saw it on full display against Great Britain.
Just looking at the two goalkeepers side to side, I'd probably fall into a trap a lot of people would and just say Lydia Williams is taller and has longer limbs, and therefore she's going in between the sticks. She just has got physical advantages, but Tegan Micah seems to have a knack of positioning herself in the right place to make those close-range reflex saves. I
think the only thing Tegan Micah probably needs to work on is maybe her passing out from the back, because I think Lydia is a little bit better at that, but I think that comes with age and maturity. But you can't say now that Tegan Micah is not as good of a shot stopper as Lydia Williams.
Not at all.
And that for Australia, for having two options, who are very good options. Like Lydia Williams, if Lydia Williams went into the game against Sweden tonight, I would not think she was going to do a bad job. She's a tremendous goalkeeper. But Tegan Micah is, just like a lot of players in this team, made the best of a tough situation in terms of being in a really difficult group and not much expectation from the rest of the world thinking about how they're going to go in this tournament.
It was a very high-scoring end-to-end game. A hat-trick for Ellen White. You've got to be sympathising with her. Scoring a hat-trick and your team still loses.
I think it's got a lot to do with watching Great Britain throughout this tournament, they have a really talented squad, great attackers, great defenders, but they never felt connected, especially when they were going forward. There was a lot of opportunities they missed, and they never seemed sure of themselves in games. And I think they've benefited off a relatively easy run so far in the competition for themselves. And Australia, for once, were like, you know what? We're going to stick it to you. And even if you guys go up, we're going to be sure of ourselves and want more opportunity. We're always likely to give away an opportunity here and there.
Well, there's been some upsets throughout the rest of the tournament. We'll stay with this game for the time being, but it certainly hasn't gone to script for a lot of the other big nations. It seems as if the Matildas group was really, really tough based on the teams left in the tournament. Great Britain had a bit of an easy ride, as you say, but on paper, that squad is just unbelievable.
Exceptional.
So good that Fran Kirby was on the bench.
And I think that's a detriment to that team because Fran Kirby, I know I'm pretty sure she came into the tournament with a little bit of a niggle. That's why she was on the bench. But Fran Kirby this season in WSL, her play with Sam Kerr, Sam Kerr scored a lot of goals, but a lot of them came because Fran Kirby was a lot of movement off the ball, and in the 1-2 passes between them two is some of the best in women's football at the moment, and particularly in the WSL. It's I think that the Great Britain side lacked Fran Kirby's excellence, especially in the front third, to get those little passes in between Australia and catch Australia off, especially with Australia playing trying to catch the Great Britain offside. I think Fran Kirby would have been really helpful in those moments, and they just were a little bit unlucky. Yeah,
I was expecting the worst when some of those early passages of play started happening. There was one lobbed through ball from, was it Kim Little with the outside of her left boot? And I went, gee, we don't have that
Kim
at
Little
all.
right there.
We don't have that. I was impressed by the high pressing, and I have been all tournament of the Matildas. That's one aspect of the play that really has impressed me, is when the opposition is trying to play out from the back, they really do harass them, and those three attacking players really get high at the pitch, the wing backs as well, and the opposition team is difficult finds it difficult to get out. But once they do, I thought Australia's been really vulnerable defensively, and I think we saw that in this match despite the end result.
I think that without the pressing, Australia would not have gone this far in this competition. I think they get to catch teams off, and if they have to do a slow build-up, I don't think they're the greatest because they don't have a player who's going to find that magic ball, that they don't have that Mesut Ozil type of player who's going to, slip somebody through. They don't have a Frank Kirby, who Sam Kerr in moments in this competition has missed. Even though Sam Kerr scored a lot of goals, I think there have been a lot of opportunities, have gone to waste because people haven't found her. But you know what? Australia are through to a World Cup an Olympic semi-final.
Maybe in 2 years.
I believe so. They've made a semi-final and they have an opportunity to win a medal. So I think we should be positive about it, and we can allow those little things that needs to be fixed. They've got 2 years to fix that, and they've got more time to be together because, as I said, they spent over a year apart and they didn't get to play football together. And that, for a side, who's coming to a major competition, a lot of teams would have just been like, oh, we're out, we're done.
You could see how much it meant to Tony Gustafsson. I mean, the celebrations on the sideline were something else. But
who was he cheering to? I had no idea. He was like
a lonely place on the sideline with the COVID restrictions. There's not too many.
Man's gone delusional. He's lost his mind. He's just jumping. My dad doesn't know anything about women's football, and he was lost his mind as well when Mary Fowler's goal went in. Our neighbours must have been like, "What the hell is going on?" It was.
Deflection aside, what a first touch.
Honestly, she's an incredible player.
And she's Australia's player now. That's the most important thing from this tournament. We finally cap-tied Mary Fowler to the country, which is a massive relief when you talk about you think back to all of the rumours surrounding her international future. Was she going to play for Ireland? She had so much... she has eligibility for about 4 or 5 different countries. So
honestly, we are absolutely grateful. But I think that it leaves a bit of a real big question for Tony Gustafsson, that he now needs to find a formation that works for this Matildas team, because I still don't think that the formation that he keeps putting out is the best formation for this side. I think he leaves them with a lot of, deficiencies, and because the players are of such high quality and they work really hard to cover those deficiencies, I think the next few years he's going to really need to work on that if he wants to keep his job as the Matildas coach.
Yeah, I was quite negative about their chances. He's entirely flipped the script with this result, because if they go out to Team GB, it's, they scrape through, tough group side, they scrape through with some unconvincing performances. The win over New Zealand got them through, and the almost pre-agreed draw with the USA where neither team was willing to risk much. One of the worst games of football I've ever seen, followed by one of the best games of women's football I've ever watched. And he's completely flipped the script, because if they go out to Team GB, if they get beaten handily, then we think, well, getting through the group is just a function of the structure of the tournament and not really anything to do with where the Matildas are at, and it's a disappointing result. Now they're through to a semi-final. I think whatever happens from here, you have to say, based on the lack of preparation, this tournament has been a success. And that's the thing about tournament football. There's such fine margins between success and failure. I still think there are real holes in this team. The midfield isn't functioning properly. They have to rely on Sam Kerr's aerial ability, not just to score goals, but also to win knockdowns and second balls. Which, I don't think is sustainable.
It's so strange to me, because I understand Sam Kerr's a fantastic header of the ball, but I actually don't think that's her best scoring weapon. She's so good with her feet, and these long balls into the box, I am not a fan of at all. They seem to occasionally work, but I think they really need to find a better creative outlet, and maybe starting Mary Fowler in this game might be, might be something they might need to think of, because if we're just going to keep doing these long balls against Sweden especially, it's going to be a long night. It's going to be a long 90 minutes.
I don't know what they can do at this point in the tournament to change the dynamic in the centre of midfield. The 3-4-3, whether you like it or not, I think me and Scott Jamieson are in agreement. Playing fullbacks to centre-backs, not a fan. No. But it is what it is. And 2 in midfield, they seem to get overrun, and we're have to switch the ball out to the wing and then usually go for a long diagonal and then hopefully win a second ball off it. It's not pretty, but it can be effective when you've got Kerr up front because she's in real goal scoring nick at the moment. She can. It reminds me of the old days with the Socceroos of just lobbing it into Tim Cahill and hoping for the best.
It's if I'm thinking about this team, and I really feel that if Australia may manage to sneak into get the bronze medal, or even go further, Sam Kerr may have really stamped her claim as one of the top 3 best female footballers in the world. Because with Miedema coming out with the Dutch and scoring a lot of goals, but missing the crucial penalty, she's really stepped up and has dragged essentially an okay Australia squad compared to the rest of the world into a position that not a lot of people, because I remember watching a video on YouTube with the Arsenal squad and the draw came out and Jill Roord from the Dutch team made a bit of a face when Caitlin Ford said, you're going to have to get past us. And now you see Australia, a little bit further than the Dutch team, and I'm quite pleased with that. A little bit of banter in the Arsenal women's locker room this season.
Well, we're going to talk. It's a Matildas heavy show. We're going to be talking to Teo Pellizzeri later. So let's talk about some of the other contenders. The Dutch went out on penalties against the USA, a really painful way for that to happen. And, I mean, who would have guessed it was their star player who missed from the spot. One of the players who was suspect in that shootout was Miedema.
The weird thing is...
I mean, she scored twice to get them to a shootout, in fairness.
She was in tremendous form, and some of the goals she scored, I implore a lot of people to go watch them because they were actually fantastic. The Dutch scored first.
I mean, she's still by far the top scorer in the tournament. 10 goals.
Hey, that Zambia game helped a lot, though.
yeah. Look, I think that's the case with most Golden Boots. There's always someone beats up on somebody else.
Absolutely. It's that the Dutch scored first, but United States, they absolutely crushed the Dutch side in the first half, and they were lucky, the Dutch side, to not have conceded more. But after the second half, I was really surprised that, especially with Miedema up front, the Dutch have got this sense of they cannot find a way to beat this US side. And it might be the experience of these, the American players, and knowing that they have such an illustrious history. But I'm really disappointed because I really thought that the Dutch team were the best side going into this tournament. And to lose to the States, especially the way they did, and especially with the penalty in the 80th minute, it's going to be a disappointing tournament overall, to be completely honest. I mean, they were expecting a medal, minimum silver.
I think the Dutch are feeling the same way that Team GB were when they lost to Australia.
Yeah.
And, this Fugazi team that's just relying on a couple of big players and big game nows has somehow beaten us.
Big players who aren't in their prime, if we're completely honest.
And that's the difference between the USA and the Matildas, is these Matildas players are still very much in the prime of their careers, whereas the USA team is based on some sort of ageless wonders that keep doing the business just about.
And I think it shows the importance. The team, the United States, they show the importance of putting the correct infrastructure around women's football, because it allows these players, no matter how far they're going in their career, to still be better than a lot of these other teams, because they've had time to develop their skills and be at such a high level that these other teams can't really compete. And Miedema is fantastic, and she's worked exceptionally hard, but a lot of it's got to do with just pure raw talent. And the US team have got a lot to rely on just pure work ethic and knowing how to play football correctly. And that's why I think they bet the Dutch as well.
Another upset, Canada 0, Brazil 0. Canada winning on penalties with Christine Sinclair, who's 38 and still going, playing at the point of the diamond. She played all 120 minutes despite her age. I've got to look up how many international caps she's got now. I think she's adding to her record. Isn't she the most capped women's international player in the world? I think she still holds that record. I mean, she's playing.
I think so. I think she must be.
But Brazil always a favourite when you come into these tournaments, even though they're Australia's bunnies. We always bet Brazil. That's
fact.
Apart from 2016, but we don't talk
about that here.
But, I mean, Canada, that's a huge upset for them.
Absolutely. But it's a huge upset, but they're in for an almighty test against the US, to beat them. very good, and they got a lot of flair going forward. But I'm not overly convinced by them, if I'm completely honest. What's the number?
Can I get you to guess?
38. I'm going. Chills. Let's go one like 120. Maybe like 140, 140-ish.
Higher.
Way higher.
You're quite a bit higher.
Like 180.
Higher.
What? Wait, under 200?
No.
210?
This is going to take all night. It's 302.
302. Jeez, Canada, you need to start getting some more. Let this woman rest. 302 game. That's. Jeez. That's how. That means she's been playing for at least like.
Well, she's been playing for the national team for 20 years plus.
Jeez, Canada, where are your other players? Is she playing all 11? Like, is every time she plays a different position, she gets a. God.
Do they sub her on and off
Honestly,
several times a game or something? I mean, that's what it says on Wikipedia. I'm not going to. It's 187 goals in 302 games, which is just amazing.
She is.
And she's been playing for the national team since 2000. So, yeah, over 20 years.
That's how long I've been alive. Wow. That's impressive. And I that's actually, because I was looking when Jill Scott came on for Team GB, and she has an incredible number of games as well. And that's something I really love about women's football, that we get to stay with a lot of these players for a really long time. And they are around in these national teams, to develop, the next group of, players coming through, which is always really lovely to see.
Well, it must be a dream come true for her to be able to face the US in an Olympic semi-final. It's huge. North American derby.
I hope. I really don't want the US to win, but if Canada lose and Australia unfortunately is to lose tonight, I'm stamping them down for a bronze medal. Matildas for a bronze medal. I've got it locked in. Comfortable bronze medal.
All right.
I've got it. Minimum bronze medal. I feel it.
We usually beat Brazil, so Brazil not being able to beat Canada doesn't mean anything.
Exactly.
And, of course, Sweden, our opponents tonight. You're very nervous about this.
They have shown themselves to be such a complete side that they are hard to break down defensively, and they will score just like that. You blink and they've just gone through your entire team with just incredible passing.
So they're your tip for the gold then? Yeah,
absolutely. I just think they're a better side.
Something tells me the US are just going to ask their way to the gold medal.
They're so solid all around the park, and they just don't get beat. They're a very professional football team. There are some teams who have got a lot of flair, and they're great going forward. Sweden just know how to win football games and just know how to stick around. Even if you score, they will put two past you and just like that, and you won't even realise.
Is it Eriksson, the centre-back from Chelsea?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely amazing player. And then some of their attacking players too, the Real Madrid contingent in the squad.
They're everywhere, and they are the best players in the world. I think gone are the days where, you have to be playing in America to be the best, best.
Absolutely.
You can be playing anywhere in Europe now, and these players are incredible everywhere.
Still need a European team to win a major tournament and cement that. And Sweden could be the first. I thought that's in a long time. Not ever, but in a long time.
That's why I really thought the Dutch team would just... When Walker coming into this tournament, I thought the Dutch team were the best team all around. But Sweden have showed that I was completely wrong, and they are the team to beat comfortably.
Yeah, look, wouldn't be the first time that one of us has been proven wrong, taking a big L. And if the Matildas win tonight, then I've taken a big L in my assessment of their pre-tournament chances. But still, I'm ready for them, of course.
Somebody's got to tell me, where do I get these kits? Because I really need a Matildas kit, and I don't know where you go to find them. Because I want a Steph Catley one, I want a Caitlin Ford one, and then I want a Sam Kerr one. I want the two Arsenal players. Lydia, work on that. Once she comes back to the number
first choice, maybe you'll consider it.
Exactly.
Okay, fair enough.
Exactly.
Do they make goalkeeper jerseys in your size, or do they just show people that small?
I used to be a goalkeeper. I literally
futsal or outdoor?
No, outdoor.
Wow.
I used to be, when I was playing under 12, under 13.
Oh, it was a smaller goal back then.
No.
Full size goals.
Full size goals. I'm telling you, Josh, I was a wonder kid. Okay, just saying. I was a good footballer.
Cat-like reflexes over here.
Oh, I see what you did there. Don't like it. Don't like it at all.
All right, before we go to a break and get Noah Botic on the line. Ange Postecoglou is having a bit of a hard time of it in his start to life in Scotland. Out of the Champions League playoffs, first game of the season against Lockie Flanagan's beloved Heart of Midlothian, newly promoted side from the Scottish Championship. And in the 89th minute, young man, the brother of Socceroo and Olyroos, Harry Suter, Mr. John Suter, gets his big bonce up for a set piece and heads it into the back of the net. 2-1 defeat on day one in Scotland for Ange. And it seems as if some of these journos that he's been given such terse responses to are starting to turn on him already.
You've got to be nice to these journos out there. If you want to keep your job, if your team's not going to get secure that number one spot, you've got to be
mate,
nice.
I'm not a publicist.
He's got to be... If they keep... not, I didn't like to see the game. But was their performance good, or was it a case of Hearts just capitalising on a really lucky moment?
Well, Celtic are always going to dominate that sort of game, especially when Ange is in charge and they're looking to play out from the back and keep possession and so forth. They're always going to have the majority of the ball, most of the chances as well, but they looked super vulnerable with some of the risks they were taking. Their centre-back had a bit of a nightmare on debut, Carl Starfelt. So, I'm sure he'll take a little bit of time to adjust, but he should be an improvement based on his CV. He should be an upgrade on what they had. They need an entire new defence, essentially, and potentially a new goalkeeper as well. They've been linked with Joe Hart, which surprises me considering Pep Guardiola ditched him because he couldn't play out from the back because his feet were made of wood. But, he can still stop the ball from going in the back of the net, and he's going to be an affordable signing. So I think that'll help if he can get him over the line. But Ange just needs reinforcements, especially right back. They probably need another centre-half. Left back's a concern as well. Probably a new holding midfielder. And then there's all this talk about their centre-forward, Odson Edouard, and whether his head's in the game, whether he's looking out the door for a transfer, so on and so forth. There's a whole soap opera about that as well. If they can keep him and if he's motivated, then he's obviously a fantastic striker for that league. But it seems as if Postecoglou has not been given the resources that he needs by the board, and this was the worry that many Celtic fans had, that whoever the new coach is going to be, they won't have enough pulling power to convince those holding the purse strings that this team needs a major rebuild. And they've left it so late as well. It took so long to appoint Ange with the whole Eddie Howe thing and that falling through, and arranging his coaching badges, an exemption for him not holding a European, A license. It took so long to get all that done that they haven't got much time left in the transfer window. So this is now emergency. And if they can't get reinforcements, I can see Ange, sacked by Christmas. The fans seem to be on his side. The media aren't, but quite a few of the fans seem to be behind Ange because they like the way he speaks. He's a straight talker. And, he takes responsibility for stuff. He doesn't deflect, which, is a refreshing change of pace from the Neil Lennon era. But I don't know how long this honeymoon is going to last with the fans if they keep losing, despite, the reasons behind it not necessarily being Ange's fault.
I just think they need... If you put wins on the board, even if they're messy wins, that gets a lot of people off your back really quickly.
Yeah.
But
that's not Ange's philosophy.
It might need to be his philosophy. He wants to keep his job.
He's not going to change. That's that's kind of the yin and yang of Ange. Is the good thing about him is he doesn't change, and the bad thing about him is he doesn't change. It comes with... It's part of the package deal with Ange Postecoglou. You're going to get a certain brand of football, and he's totally uncompromising, almost bordering on zealotry. But
if you don't have the players to do that, then maybe this is not the job for him.
But it has to be, though. That's the thing. It has to be the job for him, because if he gets sacked really early out of the gate, he won't get another big job like this. Yeah. He'll have to go back to Asia or even, God forbid, Australia for employment.
And just bigger than the entire A-League. Come on. He's not coming back here.
He's the CEO of the A-League.
Honestly. I want this,
Actually,
this.
He's a football manager. He's not an accountant, mate.
Oh, nice one. That was good.
We'll go to a break. On the other side, we'll be talking to... Well, some have called him the new Mark Viduka. Personally, I hate it when anyone calls anybody the new Mark Viduka. But, if we're going to call anyone that, it might as well be Noah Botic.
Exactly. We'll ask him about it.
He is one of Australia's brightest young talents. He's been playing overseas for a long time, been part of the Hoffenheim youth setup, and burst onto the scene scoring 4 goals at the Under-19 World Cup. Now he's back in the A-League. He's going to play for John Aloisi and Western United next season. We can't wait to see what he can do. He's going to be joining us on the other side of this break on Twilight Football.
We are more than engineers. We are more than project managers. We are more than surveyors. We are more than infrastructure specialists. We are more than planners. So, who are we? We are problem solvers, providing the highest quality service and results. We are a team of skilled professionals focused on customer needs and outcomes. We are 23 years of industry experience, adhering to the highest safety standards. We are Melbourne, and we are right across Victoria. We are the Lanco Group, your business partner for engineering solutions. Lanco Group. We are more than you realise, and we are ready to partner with you.
Buying your electricity from the big energy companies is now the most expensive way to power your home. In fact, the average electricity bill in Australia has more than doubled in the last 15 years. But not for the ones who went solar. Unlike your electricity bill, the price of solar has actually come down, and there's also government rebates available. So what are you waiting for? Join the 2 million households already saving hundreds of dollars every year. See how much your roof could be making you at solarpowerco.com.au. Go solar and get $500 cash back with the Solar Power Co, Australia's most trusted solar brand. solarpowerco.com.au.
Are you looking to change your destiny in life? Be your own boss? Start your own business? If you are, you need people who understand your needs and are committed to helping you make it happen. At DKP & Co Chartered Accountants, we are more than just accountants. We are business advisors, taxation consultants, and strategists that specialise in setting up businesses. We understand the client and give them the very best customised advice and strategies to achieve their goals. Visit our website dkpco.com.au or give us a call today on 03 9023 9370. Fast, proactive, personal. That's DKP & Co Chartered Accountants.
With this great sporting nation who has yet to embrace fully the world's greatest game, and for so long of trying to have the game accepted. And when I'm up to the big football field in the sky, I just want people just to remember I told you so.
And suddenly the complexion of the game changes. Let's hope it doesn't, but this is the best period for Iran in the match. Danger for Australia here, the flag's down! It's an equaliser!
You just feel for them, not just the boys, they are representative of so many people who make this game their life. It's just, I can't say anything, mate.
All right.
Especially as they have the impetus. Aloisi, Cahill, Cahill! Tim Cahill has done it again! What a goal by Tim Cahill! 2-1 Australia! Oh, it's a wonderful moment in Kaiserslautern! And Tim Cahill has come off the bench and maybe won the match for the Socceroos.
You're listening to FNR, Football Nation Radio.
We are more than engineers. We are more than project managers. We are more than surveyors. We are more than infrastructure specialists. We are more than planners. So, who are we? We are problem solvers, providing the highest quality service and results. We are a team of skilled professionals focused on customer needs and outcomes. We are 23 years of industry experience, adhering to the highest safety standards. We are Melbourne, and we are right across Victoria. We are the Lanco Group, your business partner for engineering solutions. Lanco Group. We are more than you realise, and we are ready to partner with you.
here on Twilight Football on FNR Football Nation Radio. Josh Parrish and Pakua Frimpong with you this evening, and we're delighted to be joined by a brand new signing for Western United. You've seen him at the Under-19 FIFA World Cup, banging in the goals for Australia. Now you're going to see him in the A-League. Noah Botic, welcome to FNR.
Very much, Josh. Thanks for having me.
It's a delight to have you on the show, mate. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your football journey, because you've spent quite a bit of it overseas.
Yeah, I'd say quite a bit. I'd say only 2 years with Hoffenheim, a very good team, very good German team. It was a great experience the past 2 years. Just sort of unfortunate with a lot of sort of different injuries, and plus with national teams, sort of going there and back and stuff, and it just made it a little bit difficult, but it was a very, very good experience.
Absolutely. Well, what's the setup like over there at Hoffenheim? Obviously a very good Bundesliga club, very ambitious club. What's the atmosphere like? How, intense is that competitive environment?
Very intense. I mean, obviously, every single player over there wants to make it and strive to make it to the first team. And that's with every single session. Everyone's putting their best foot forward, 110% in every session, wanting to impress the coaches, and then also in games on the weekends, because you've got the first team coaches always watching on and stuff like that. So you really want to make a good impression. So that's what I mainly focused on over there.
So you're a Sydney boy. You were at Western Sydney Wanderers, I see. Played some NPL football for Sydney Olympic as well. Yeah, for
Olympic for one season, which was under 15s, I think, and then went to Rockdale. I think that was for 2 seasons. So yeah, went there for 2, and then went straight overseas to Germany.
So where did the call for the youth national teams come from?
When did it all start?
Yeah.
It started at probably one of the first sort of teams, which was on the 15s, where we did this sort of qualifiers for the Asian Cup. And I was under Tony Vidmar. So that was the very sort of start of it. And then sort of I've just been with that sort of youth team all the way through to the World Cup, which was a really nice experience, and I feel sort of honoured to sort of been picked by these amazing coaches like Peter Kolmowski, and then you got Trevor, who later came in. And once they sort of put their trust in me, I feel like I got to show them what I'm made of, and I feel like I did that.
Well, you certainly did that at the Under-19 World Cup, or Under-17 as well. I mean, that was a big step for you in terms of coming on to national prominence, and you actually picked up the Dylan Tombides Award as well, which must have been a great honour.
Yes, I did. We sort of had a meeting about it, and all the players were sort of didn't really expect like too much of it. It was just a normal meeting. And then Trevor said, we got like a sort of a special award and stuff like that we're going to give out. Craig Moore was there as well. So he was there to offer it to the players, and then my name got called up. So really, really honoured to get that award.
So what was that experience like playing at a World Cup, and what kind of attention did it bring? I mean, I'm sure you would have got loads and loads of messages from family and friends watching you on TV, watching you score goals for Australia. It must have felt surreal.
Yeah, it was an unbelievable experience. A lot of kids want to strive to make a World Cup in any sort of age group, and like myself, being able to do it with the team that we had was really enjoyable. It was tough as well, because you got a lot of young talent, a lot of kids training with first teams in Europe and in South America and all over the world, and to see what other players in other countries can provide and see how they play, and then you sort of compare it to us, you can sort of bring that back into your own sessions and whatnot, and sort of improve around those areas.
After such an incredible tournament at that World Cup, a lot of people have some comparisons for you. The Mark Viduka one, you must hear that a lot. What are your thoughts when you hear a comparison of that nature to such an Australian legend?
It makes me feel honoured that a lot of people see me as a player like him, such a legend, playing in Leeds especially. Same with Harry Kewell, a lot of great legends. But to be honest, I just sort of focus on being the the best version of myself. You know, I want to make a name for myself, and obviously being compared to him is it's a great honour. It's an amazing feeling. But like I said, you know, making a name for myself and building my name up, that's what I really want to focus on. And then obviously once I'm older, you got people talking to the next sort of striker saying, oh, you could be like Noah Botic or something like that.
Love it.
Hopefully one day that'll be the dream.
How do you describe yourself as a player? Like if somebody was like, tell me what Noah Botic's football style is like, what would you describe it as?
I'd say, you know, just quick-minded, you know, with especially off the ball, I reckon. Just sort of I'm able to make myself available and, you know, give players that sort of option to pass or, you know, going behind. And, you know, I've got a bit of pace on me. I wouldn't say like a Usain Bolt type of player, but I'm a bit of a overall player, I'd say. But my main attribute is just off the ball sort of decision making and sort of, you know, make myself available for my teammates. So
you're working under another Australian legend this season. Was that a big incentive for you to sign for Western United and come back home when a coach like John Aloisi, with his experience as a striker, is there as a new mentor for you?
Yeah, for sure. As soon as we heard, you know, as soon as I came back and I wanted to sort of move into the A-League, into teams, we were looking around, we were scouting around. And then we saw John was coming to a coach. I know he's been a coach with Brisbane as well. So he's got a bit of experience in the A-League as a coach, and also being a striker, attacker in top 3 leagues in the world, in Europe. So that was a sort of big incentive for me to go over to Western United. So, you know, he could be like a sort of mentor to me, teach me and coach me through.
I mean, if there's one thing John Aloisi knows about, is scoring goals, and I'm sure he'll have plenty of tips for you in that department. What about moving to Melbourne then? I mean, you're a Sydney boy. I think most A-League fans, if they had to guess, would have guessed you'd wash up back at the Wanderers or at Macarthur or at Sydney. What was the decision behind moving to Western United and Melbourne, apart from the Aloisi factor?
I mean, to be honest, once I moved back to Sydney and then I decided I want to go into A-League, I didn't mind where I was around the A-League. It's a lot different to how it is over in Germany, especially in a different continent, away from your family, different language. It's very difficult. So obviously in Australia, it's a lot easier for me. Everyone speaks English, so I really didn't mind. I was close to parents and stuff, to my family, and then also in Melbourne, I got a couple of friends there through national teams, through players moving there from Sydney and whatnot. So I feel right at home.
Big Australian-Croatian community in the west of Melbourne as well, so you should feel right at home.
What I've heard, so can't wait to get there. Can't wait to feel that.
Western have a pretty young core for the future. How do you see yourself fitting in there and developing your talents, you know, and maybe being a long-term project being with Western United? How do you see yourself fitting there?
I see myself fitting pretty well there. You know, just sort of throughout training, just to sort of develop myself and show the staff, especially John, what I can provide, and then show that into the game. So, you know, next season, I'll just sort of improve on that and just sort of learn from what I did in the first year, and then maybe, who knows, I could be there for a third year because I've only signed for 2 years. But anything can happen. Anything can happen.
Do you see yourself in the future making another crack of Europe?
Yeah, for sure. Just sort of decision to come back. It was, you know, especially during this time of Corona and the pandemic.
Yeah.
Sort of come back to Sydney during the break and stuff. So I'd have to sort of stay in Germany and just not a lot to do over there. So yeah, I told myself eventually just sort of, you know, get back into the groove of things, play with older men in a good league in Australia, top league in Australia. And in the next couple of years, go back to Europe and like I've told myself many times, that's where I want to be, and that's my dream.
You spoke a little bit about how you've had a few injuries while in your time at Hoffenheim. Yeah. What was it like facing injury over there, especially, you know, being away from your family and being by yourself, or if you were with other people, you know, having to recover What was it like in that system and, for yourself personally?
It was very difficult because it was sort of the same injuries over and over again, just sort of repeating itself. I had a lot of support while I was at the club, the staff and the players, especially the physio, who's taken very good care of me. It does get frustrating after a couple of times. It's the same injury over and over. In the end, it's the sacrifice you got to make, and these things happen in football. You just got to sort of tell yourself you're going to bounce back from it and come back stronger.
How are you feeling physically at the moment?
I'm feeling good, physically good. Keeping up with my fitness, with my program that Andrew at Western United is providing me with. And once I'm over in Melbourne, then crack on with the first team.
This will be your first sort of proper crack at senior football at club level, I suppose. Obviously you're involved in the Hoffenheim setup, and that's pretty intense as well. But what do you think you need to do to prepare yourself for that jump?
I'd say the same thing that I've always been doing, just sort of fitness, training a lot, getting into the gym, and then once I'm, and then obviously show players and the older sort of players that I'm not there to be pushed over and stuff like that, so that I can sort of hold my weight and just make a good impression.
So what's the logistics like of getting down to Melbourne at the moment? I don't envy that part of your challenge with the border restrictions.
It's a little bit difficult. I'm speaking with Mal and with Ryan, and they're doing an incredible job. They keep me updated and making it all possible and stuff like that. And obviously, most likely going to have to quarantine while I'm down there, which is a pain because I think it's been a month. Within 3 months, I've done quarantine. I've come back to Sydney and then going back to Melbourne. So it's a bit of a drag. It's a pain, but it's got to be done. So.
Well, we wish you all the best with your quarantine. I'm sure you've got some things to keep yourself busy and some fitness programs to try and do in whatever space is available to you. But we can't wait to see you out on the training paddock at Sunshine George Cross for Western United and in green and black in the A-League next season. A lot of our viewers, I'm sure, are very curious about your career progression and have high hopes for you with national team aspirations as well. So Noah Botic, just welcome back to Australia. Welcome to the A-League, and we can't wait to see you play.
Thank you very much.
Also, welcome to the best state in Australia. Come on, let's be honest with ourselves. Victoria's where it's at.
Yeah, even if you do have to wait 2 weeks to experience it.
Exactly.
I'm not going to lie, for me, it's still Sydney, so...
Noah Botic, his first interview, I think, since signing for Western United. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll be chatting to Teo Pellizzeri about this big semi-final in the Olympics tonight, the Matildas versus Sweden.
Buying your electricity from the big energy companies is now the most expensive way to power your home. In fact, the average electricity bill in Australia has more than doubled in the last 15 years, but not for the ones who went solar. Unlike your electricity bill, the price of solar has actually come down, and there's also government rebates available. So what are you waiting for? Join the 2 million households already saving hundreds of dollars every year. See how much your roof could be making you at solarpowerco.com.au. Go solar and get $500 cash back with the Solar Power Co, Australia's most trusted solar brand. solarpowerco.com.au.
We are more than engineers. We are more than project managers. We are more than surveyors. We are more than infrastructure specialists. We are more than planners. So, who are we? We are problem solvers, providing the highest quality service and results. We are a team of skilled professionals, focused on customer needs and outcomes. We are 23 years of industry experience, adhering to the highest safety standards. We are Melbourne, and we are right across Victoria. We are the Lanco Group, your business partner for engineering solutions. Lanco Group. We are more than you realise, and we are ready to partner with you.
Are you looking to change your destiny in life? Be your own boss? Start your own business? If you are, you need people who understand your needs and are committed to helping you make it happen. At DKP & Co Chartered Accountants, we are more than just accountants. We are business advisors, taxation consultants, and strategists that specialise in setting up businesses. We understand the client and give them the very best customised advice and strategies to achieve their goals. Visit our website, dkpco.com.au, or give us a call today on 03 9023 9370. Fast, proactive, personal. That's DKP & Co Chartered Accountants.
For the final time this evening, gearing up for a massive Olympics semi-final against Sweden. The Matildas are Australia's football medal hope, and they've done amazingly well to get this far, but face a really daunting opponent who Pakua thinks are in for the gold medal.
Absolutely.
So we'll see what Teo Pellizzeri has to say about the situation. Teo, welcome back to FNR.
Matildas, I thought I was coming on to preview Bulleen Lions versus Northcote City. Good evening. How are you? I'm good, thank you.
I'm good too, Teo. Well, give us a little bit of NPL2 chat. You're down at the Veneto Club tonight. Before we get on to the Matildas, may as well.
I just hope I can get out of the car park without someone digging my car. Do you know that this car park cost me $450 once, Josh? Let's talk about the Matildas, a happier subject.
Absolutely. No, Veneto Club, crazy on a match day. No crowd probably means Teo's car might be okay this time around. But it was a crazy match day on Friday night as the Matildas went to extra time against Team GB. Sam Kerr saving our bacon once again. What did you make of that match, Teo? Because it felt to me as if the Matildas were riding by the seat of their pants for a little while.
Well, the stat that sums it up for me is depending on which XG provider you use, it's kind of like vaping pens, right? But depending on which XG provider you go for, I saw that we had a 1.2 XG and obviously scored 4 goals. So to outshoot your XG by almost 3 is pretty unprecedented. The thing is, there were mistakes. Great Britain were their own worst enemy, and they were also incredibly unlucky. The deflection for the Mary Fowler goal. Can Australia get that lucky again? That's what knockout football is all about. And it was going to take something like that to get us through this quarterfinal sort of barrier that we've been coming up against in previous major tournaments, particularly with this core of players. My pre-tournament prediction was we could play brilliantly and get knocked out in the quarterfinals, or we could play terribly and everyone could feel really bad about the team, but we'll probably still get to the quarterfinals. So to actually break that barrier and now be in pretty much uncharted territory is very exciting. And I do think that having played Sweden once already, there are some tweaks we can make to try and compensate for the weaknesses in this team, and hopefully there is evidence of that having been done tonight.
Well, 1.2, but your XG experience may vary. What are those tweaks, Teo? What would you like to see change? Because I'm not expecting anything major, any major rethinks from this 3-4-3 that Tony Gustafsson has placed so much faith in this tournament.
Well, I don't like the back three. It is a back five at times, but I don't like the idea of only one of Polkinghorne or Kennedy. I really did. I know that this is a new manager and a new formation and new ideas, but I think it is fool's gold to say that it has worked. Had Great Britain not gone to water in the 88th minute of our game, we would have been going home, having only a 2-1 win against New Zealand and a more or less handshake agreement to draw 0-0 against the United States and maybe a bit of poor assistant refereeing work to show for our tournament. So I don't think it's the new dawn or cause for thinking that this is some sort of long-term solution. However, what I think we could try probably won't happen. So I suspect we'll go with Kennedy again instead of Polkinghorne in that back five, and we probably won't be seeing both of them. I really think it's about defensive position and discipline, though. So some of the the conversations I've had with people, some of them, licensed coaches about the Matildas, is that we've reached a point where saying you need to be better in the air, marking tighter, more positionally aware of your opponent, these are now ability things as opposed to desire things or concentration things. And maybe it is just at a point where we're going to keep conceding the goals that we do, some of the headed goals, some of the loose marking that has allowed players that even aren't great in the air to get a free opportunity to take a shot, is an ability thing rather than a system thing or a concentration thing. But maybe it's also just the familiarity with the opponent that will allow us to be defensively sharper, because some of the tracking of runs, some of the marking has been substandard, and I think that it's good for the Matildas brand and it's good for the game overall that those cracks have been glossed over to an extent by the fact we have one really memorable, amazing win out of this tournament, and now we have a bronze medal match at the very worst if things don't go well for us tonight.
I mean, the defensive issues are one thing, Teo, but look, we seem to be able to score goals regardless of the kind of football we play. I've been very underwhelmed by the use of the midfield. It seems to be a lot of abandoning the centre of the park as almost a playmaking avenue and just going for energy down the flanks, crosses, lots of long diagonal balls towards Sam Kerr. It's not pretty. They're scoring goals, though. I mean, I don't know if that performance against Team GB is replicable based on the XG.
No, and the other thing is, prior to the Olympics, I was quite critical of the squad that we selected for the pre-Olympics friendlies. I've questioned why do we have 4 reserves, but 2 of them are left backs, Charlotte Grant and Courtney Nevin. Would it have killed us to take Dylan Holmes? Would it have killed us to think about a central midfielder as an alternative to Emily Van Egmond? Clearly it would have. But, again, we've painted ourselves into this corner and we have to improvise with what we've got. So it makes a player like Hayley Razzo disproportionately important to us creating those diagonal balls and creating a goal, because we're not going to get that sort of efficiency or creativity through the middle of the park. And chatting with you previously, Josh, you've made a great point about how Katrina Gorry's pregnancy has taken away one of our best central midfielders, and Alex Chidiac, again, not preferred. So I'm not sure what the state of South Australia did to upset Tony Gustafsson, because he did take Charlotte Grant, but he took the wrong South Australian. It had to be Chids or it had to be Dylan Holmes, just for a bit of variety, even if it is, in terms of ability, a drop-off. Who knows? I do think there's going to have to be a slice of luck involved. There could be complacency on behalf of Sweden. They have been good in this tournament, but let's look at the 2 goals we did score against them in the group stage loss. They were quite similar, I think, to the Great Britain game in that they weren't defensively astute or perfect in their concentration for the entire game. So I do suspect that means there will be opportunities.
There doesn't seem to be any options in the squad available to reinvigorate that midfield. I mean, you mentioned Alex Chidiac. I know her move to Spain didn't really work out and she didn't have that much first-team football, but even in a very bad Melbourne City W League side, I thought she was incredible. And she's sort of a playmaking force who always wants the ball to her feet, who's willing to, receive the ball in congested areas and dribble out of trouble. And for all, her ability to strike a ball cleanly, Emily Van Egmond is not that player. And for all her, lung-busting box-to-box runs, Tamika Yallop is not that player, and neither is Chloe Lagazzo.
Yeah, and the other thing is, Kyra is not a 90-minute option for the Matildas in a position that's not naturally hers. Central midfield is not naturally Kyra's position either. This is a name for later down the road, but this just shows the importance of re-engaging Jacinta Galabadarachi. I think that's a player that could be the answer in the future. Obviously is not the answer tonight, but they're going to have to start casting the net a lot wider. The good thing is that even feeding off scraps or hope or waiting for a defensive mistake, we have a bit of a lethality to our strikers, not just Kerr, but Mary Fowler as well. And I do think that the danger is there. And as we've seen in both the men's and the women's tournaments, so many of these games have gone to extra time. Quite a few have gone to penalties. Even that would be a good result for Australia. And I suspect that could be an avenue to victory for us rather than having to win the actual game.
Teo, do you reckon that because the midfield combination hasn't been perfect, even though Sam Kerr has scored a lot of goals of this tournament, this tournament hasn't been the greatest for her because they haven't found that pass, like that player who can feed it through to Kerr at her feet to allow her to be at her most dominant.
Yeah, well, it's also a case of the better the team, the better Sam Kerr. I think that, in her W League days, she was so far ahead of the rest of the competition that it didn't really matter who was in the Perth Glory midfield. But now we're probably seeing an international level, and we've had enough of it at both the 2018 Asian Cup, the 2019 Women's World Cup, to see that Sam Kerr can get isolated. She steamrolled Jamaica, but then struggled in the other games without that level of support. But then she's well and truly proven when the mechanism is built around her, and she is the final piece of the jigsaw up top, be it in the United States or at Chelsea. So I suspect that, again, these are problems that can't be solved in time for tonight's game, but it is a case of Sam Kerr may be anonymous for chunks of this game, but could still pop up and score the chance that she gets. And quite simply, especially in an Olympic environment where you are competing with so many other sports for that little bit of attention and a bit of the shine, and basically now battling against our amazing swimmers for the story of the games. I'm not sure how we're going to fare in some of the other team sports, to be honest. Maybe the Boomers will medal in the men's basketball, but I think the women's hockey and the Opals are both doing quite poorly. So we look like we're going to be football is going to be the number one team sport that comes out of all of this, and the method of how we get there may not be that important. It'll certainly come into sharp focus if and when the AFC decides where we're going to be playing the Asian Cup in 2022.
You're on FNR, Teo. We is totally appropriate to talk about the code. It's fine. It's a pretty daunting challenge tonight, but something tells me that a team captained by Sam Kerr won't be too daunted by it, even despite the result in the group stage. I usually hate talking about intangibles and leadership and all of this, but it does seem, based on that Team GB match, that this group is really close together. If not tactically, they are together emotionally and have a little bit of a mental edge.
I have to say, I'm not sure that's the impression I got. Certainly the GB game was a huge lift, but it's not the impression I got from the group stage. It actually was feeling a lot like, here we go, kind of same old stuff, So, there were long periods of looking really unimpressive, and then goals were a pleasant surprise. The United States, sadly, their act of cowardice not to go for it was not punished by the Dutch, who blew their own penalty shootout. So I think that maybe this is why you dislike talking about intangibles, Josh, because I'm going to disagree with you. I'm not sure that Australia has that edge. I actually think the Swedes have been so impressive with how they've played and the level of cohesion that they have in their football, and seemingly sort of versatility and interchangeability with how they use their substitutes and have used their starting lineup. I suspect that it's actually they who have the edge, and maybe Tony Gustafsson has something in reserve that we didn't see in the group stage game in terms of preparing the team. But even he, for all the energy and the, passion he's brought to the sideline, I'm still, not convinced that he knows what his best 11 is, or that he has a big enough role in the key building block, which is the 11 we put on the field, as opposed to how they play once they're out there.
Well, Teo, I think I was just trying to talk myself into having some sort of confidence tonight in the game plan of cross it to Kerr and inshallah, but that's what talking about very subjective vibes gets you.
Now, the way we're going to score tonight is going to be a beautiful Steph Catley cross, okay? It's going to be sensational. Best cross for her life.
You're visualising now.
Visualising it. Sam Kerr's going to get her head on it. Boom. 1-0, 90th minute. That's how Australia's going to win.
Expect to win. The science of belief.
We can only hope, okay? Either penalties or a late goal. That is the only way Australia's going to win tonight.
You agree with that assessment, Teo?
I think our best avenue to victory is another shootout, to be honest. It's to play in a manner that means that conceding a goal isn't met like it's devastating. Even getting potentially into a 2-goal hole may not be met like it.
Shootout, Teo, you've just given me a premonition of Sam Kerr lining up to take a penalty, and I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, I think that look, Australia definitely can win tonight, but it might have to be another crazy game. I think the more conventional the game is, the more that will suit Sweden because they'll be more clinical, and I do think their attacking movement will cause us all sort of problems. So if it can be a bit more end-to-end, again, I think Razzo is the key tonight in terms of providing attacking output and impetus. Look, I agree with Pakua's point that Catley will be important as well. I mean, we have two other left backs. There are other left backs that we could be playing in this squad. No spare central midfielders, but we've got plenty of backup for Steph Catley. Yeah, look, I think I'm going to enjoy it not so much from a I want Australia to win point of view, but from a, I'm going to be intrigued by how the game unfolds and how daring are Australia going to be to compensate for their issues. The real pleasant surprise would be if we can actually put our foot on the ball and dictate the tempo of the game. Tamika Yallop does a power of off-the-ball work, but her combination with Emily Van Egmond hasn't really cut it against these international opponents so far. And I suppose the other side of it is the other semi-final. I suspect the United States will beat Canada, and I suspect will be unimpressive in doing so. And this is I really do think, guys, this is the gold medal playoff. I think whoever wins tonight will win the final. So
Really?
Yeah, Canada's Canada, and the United States. The United States haven't been good. They are just jammy, and they, the Dutch took some poor penalties. It was shades of 98 World Cup and Euro 2000, and they just took some horrendous penalties against a very good goalkeeper in that shootout, and in extra time as well with Lika Martins missing her spot kick. But in terms of overall football and the way they played, I think that the better team got knocked out of the tournament, yeah.
Were the Dutch your pick of the tournament before it started?
No, I would have gone with America because they just find a way. They really are, Team America football police.
Ruining a football for the fans.
Well, we'll see what happens. We're 45 minutes into this USA-Canada game and it's 0-0, so no guarantee that the USWNT will get the job done once again, but something tells me they probably will, as is often the way of things. Matildas versus Sweden kicking off at 9 p.m. tonight. Over 2 million tuned in last time, and we've got 3 keen viewers already here in the studio, so it should be a big TV event, which is always good for the game, and hopefully the Matildas put up a performance to be worthy of it. But Teo, we'll let you get back to your ground announcing work. Are you doing a bit of commentary tonight as well for Bulleen?
Yeah, I'm helping out Oscar Drew. So if for whatever reason you're not part of the 2 million Matildas, 2 million viewers watching the Matildas, get on the Bulleen Lions Facebook page and listen to Oscar Drew and myself for Bulleen against Northcote. Can Bulleen avoid the bottom 2 in NPL 2 in 2021?
Well, we'll have to second screen that one, I think, Teo. Thanks so much for the preview.
Thank you, guys. Anytime.
Teo Pellizzeri joining us to talk Matildas before he proceeds not to watch the Matildas because he's got other work on tonight. I don't think he was, when he was scheduling his jobs, he was banking on Matildas getting through. I think the pessimism I certainly felt was shared by Teo about that Team GB match, but pleasant surprise. Hey, it's a chance at a medal tonight.
Exactly. And I'm going to be cautiously optimistic in the back of my mind. I'm going to pray that something incredible happens and Australia the Matildas have the greatest game they've ever produced, and we win. Because you know what? Oh, my voice will be worse than this. It won't even Italy game. Nah, nothing compared.
Very husky tonight.
Oh, honestly.
Is that still from Friday?
It's from the Matildas, and also I was watching Brandon Stark in the high jump, and me and my parents were really getting into it. Going, come on, Brandon, you got this, man.
What did you think of the shared gold medal at the end?
Loved it. The Italy guy clearly was praying the Qatar guy wanted. He wanted it more.
Yeah, the Italy guy was. The Italian was done.
The Qatar guy was like, I can comfortably beat you.
But it was a bit of a poker session because he had sunglasses on, so you couldn't read him.
Can I tell you something? So Chiellini, I'll just go a little back. Chiellini in the Spain, penalty shootout, really roughed up Jordi, really roughed him up a little bit. This Italian guy did it before to the Qatar guy. He really got in his face and he was like, "Come on,
very
man."
extra, wasn't he?
Very extra. And the Qatar guy was like, "You know what? I don't need any more of this angst. Let's just be over. Come on, gold."
I mean, if someone offers you a gold medal, you take it.
It's a good gold.
It would take a special kind of arrogance.
Honestly, you couldn't.
You'd need like CR7.
Anybody who said would say no.
I have to be the only one.
Only one. I just think that's like. You'd be crazy too, because what happens? You get a silver, you'd be like.
The thing I like about it is it really triggered all the boomers saying,
did. I saw this comment.
this generation,
Yeah, they're like-
participation trophies.
They're like,
it's a gold medal, guys.
They're like, it's the softest Olympics I've ever been. I'm like, mate, come on, got a gold medal. It's incredible.
Well,
Jumping 2 meters 37. Jeez, come on.
It's insane. Yeah. Did you see he was celebrating with the Italian that won the 100
Yes,
meters as
I
well?
love that. Oh, it was a nice
I
night.
kind of love that. I also thought he was sort of inserting himself into the narrative again.
Oh, definitely. But I was thinking that, and then I saw all the other people from different countries, especially the Venezuela triple jumper. You know, like you really realize how united the athletics community is, particularly the Olympics, and how big the Olympics is for athletes around the world.
Yeah, well, you've got a lot of likable athletes in the football as well, and then there's the US as well. They're also participating.
Oh God, can't stand.
Go on, Canada, get the job done. That's enough. It's FNR, not High Jump Nation Radio, so that's enough of that. We'll sign off for the time being. We'll be back at 8 p.m. for the Night Train back on FNR. The NPL Victoria is back. Best league in the world. Best league in the world.
Come on.
So make sure you tune in from 8 p.m. for the return of the Night Train. But until then, it is goodbye for now.